So currently in Dota, there are 3 main position 5 heroes that are being abused right now in pro level games. And those 3 heroes are Death Prophet as a position 5, Pugna, and Enchantress. These heroes are incredibly busted right now, and today we're going to be watching AY 2000 TI winner play Pugna. He's currently ranked 54 in Europe, which is extremely high. On top of that, he has a ridiculous win rate on Pugna. My friend Albino Zebra showed me his win rate page. It was like 80% or something stupid. This hero is absolutely broken when it comes to the position 5 role, and let's talk about why. And then hopefully you guys can translate everything that you learn in this video to your pubs as well. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the GameLeap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the GameLeap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, let's first talk about Pugna's laning stage. So the main idea behind this hero, and honestly a big reason why it's so popular, is the fact that the hero has 4 base armor. You can see he has 5 right now, that's because he has so many stats. He has 4 base armor, decent attack damage, some of the highest attack range in Dota at 630. That is higher than the far majority of ranged heroes. And then finally 330 movement speed, which I think is top 3 movement speeds if I'm not mistaken. You guys could correct me on that. But alright, what you do in the laning stage is you basically want to trade with the lower armor hero. In general, like when you're playing a hero like Pugna that hits very consistently, you want to look to basically bully the lower armor hero in general. So he'll throw the majority auto attacks at the Snapfire. On top of that, he will look occasionally to hit the Tusk just to kind of zone him off the Tiny. But in general in this lane, he's completely bullying out the Snapfire. Once again, not putting too much of a priority on Tusk unless the Snapfire is completely out of attack range. After that, you might be wondering, when do I use my Q? There's 2 main times. Basically, you use it to secure range creeps or melee creeps because it's not really that high of mana, so you can use it to secure melee creeps, right? Range creeps and melee creeps. And then on top of that, if someone's hardcore manning up to you and they're actively 1v1 trading auto attacks, then you should do that as well. For instance, in this clip here, I think he was looking for a 2-man Q. Honestly, very greedy because I think it hit neither of them. But yeah, you can use it when people are hardcore manning up as well. Because you should be actively using this Q, right? Even here, I would have liked to see him throw out a Q. I think he prioritized just straight up auto attacking a lot, but in general, just use your spells. Next up, he ends up taking the Nether Ward at level 2. I'm personally not a huge fan of this. The only reason why is I personally feel like most of the time in the lane, it's not that good. It doesn't burn mana like it used to. It reduces spell damage and does damage when they cast nukes, which can be useful. The main time I see players get value out of it is when a range creep secure is coming up. So if the enemy team has to go secure the range creep, then you'll throw down the Nether Ward, and that will in turn cause them to take damage when they, inevitably cast spells to secure the range creep. But as we'll see, as the lane progresses, he hits the Snapfire so many times with his Giga Stat build that eventually she kind of just dies. Another nuke comes out. You want to attack move as much as possible in between every single auto attack. Please move. Please move. You want to know why you have to move? Because you have 330 movement speed. If you attack move as Pugna, you can unironically get 2 to 3 extra autos in that the average hero would not be able to get due to your attack range and, as I just said, movement speed. So please, if you're not attack moving in general, you need to learn it, but specifically abuse it on Pugna. In terms of skill build, you are going to take 2 points in your Q. He ends up going 2 points Q and then maxing out Nether Ward. We'll talk about that in a moment, but that's the general gist. You want to take the 2nd point in Q because it goes up quite significantly in damage to the point where it feels like useful to use it. It's nice in terms of the fact that it only goes up by 20 mana, which isn't great, but isn't bad. It definitely feels worth it for the damage. So take the 2nd point in Nether Blast. The next thing you want to do as Pugna is stack camps, secure runes, and push with cart waves. Alright, let's get into our first example. So the first really big play of this game is a cart wave push in the top lane. Now, this is not something you can always do. A lot of the time, let's say the lane goes like even, which is generally fine for Pugna. You can win the lane, as we see here. This is an offlane Snap who's 2 levels behind his safe laner. But let's assume the lane goes even. In a lot of situations, you're not going to be able to push your safe lane tower. The wave's just going to get cleared. It's not going to work. But in this game, that's exactly what happens. His safe lane won. He had a cart wave, pushes a tower, gets the tower at minute 7. A huge jump in net worth for his Tiny. His Tiny is now number 2 on net worth, only behind Alina, who I think got a solo kill. Oh no, she's just like way out farming everyone. That's crazy. Oh my god. This hero farms so fast. But yeah, either way, he gets that tower. So the next major play of the game he makes is actually looking to take the bottom tower. You're gonna kind of get the gist at this point in the game. Your hero wants to generally fight at towers. And the reason why is usually this is kind of a disadvantage. But for Pugna, it's actually kind of good because if the enemy team has to run into you or cast spells to defend their tower or clear the wave, they're going to take damage from Nether Ward. And what Pugna lacks is chase, so he's not good at setting up ganks in the jungle at all, right? At all. He's actually one of the worst heroes in the game at it with this build. He offers nothing to smoke ganks, essentially. So he's really good, though, at these like setup mini team fights, essentially. And we'll exactly see that here, right? He doesn't do too much here, but it's just kind of about baiting people to hit the Nether Ward doing damage, the occasional Nether Blast, and then a reduced spell damage. So after the game slows down a bit, now he's going to stack camps. And the reason why is, it's not that Pugna's underwhelming necessarily at this point in the game. You know, we saw at that bottom play, the Nether Ward is going to do a lot in these setup team fights, but let's say you already take a lot of the towers and your team is just kind of looking to farm. What you should do is look to, number 1, stack camps so you get gold later on, and then you can even sap the XP of the stacked camps because Pugna is a very heavily reliant XP hero. On top of that, we'll see once again another tower push. A couple things that come to mind about this tower push. Number 1 is coming off his eventual tome timing, which he gets here. So it's with another cart, it's on his tome timing, so now he's level 6, and we'll see how powerful this hero is at this point in the game. Right, because this Tusk rolls in, he has to take a little damage from Nether Ward. Tusk immediately takes like 200 damage from Nether Ward. After that, he goes for the life drain onto his teammate. Unfortunately, isn't able to get the kill. But you can see all the enemy heroes are just gonna be this like awkwardly low amount of HP just from casting spells casually. And that's always something that Pugna kind of just contributes to the game. After that, he's gonna drop a Nether Blast, has to kite out in a very weird situation. But now, let's talk about his item build, because his item build is what makes all the difference here. His item build is completely based around movement speed, the healing from Tranquil Boots, and then HP. He has a Pig Pull as his neutral item, which is like best case scenario on Pugna because it's a disengage item and it's 6 stats. It's fantastic. Such a great item on Pugna if you can get it. But he has a Magic Wand, a branch from earlier, Raindrops, and the Pig Pull. This is the build you should go, all right? You don't have Decrep, right? Assuming you're copying this build, you don't have Decrep. You don't need to have an Aether Lens. You're just putting down your E, and that's the majority of your impact. When people overextend, you can life drain, as we'll see here. He doesn't panic. He understands that there's no stuns from the Snap remaining. There's no stuns from the Tusk remaining. Gets the life drain, and because of his Raindrops, because of his wand, he ends up staying alive, and, you know, it's just a huge fight. All right, now moving ahead towards the 20-minute mark. We're skipping ahead very far here, but there's a couple of main things I want to talk about. Number 1 is his item build and neutral item. So at this point in the game, he has a Drums, Windlace, Helm of Iron Will, and a Wand. What I really love about his item build and AOI's general idea of Dota as a position 5 is the idea that if your hero has if your hero has a health talent and can inherently be tanky, you can buy Drums and buy a Wand, and you're just really hard to kill. On top of that, his next item is going to be Helm of the Iron Will, which is another stat-based item build that also gives you armor, something that Pugna really lacks. Yeah, you have Decrep, but sometimes you get stunned and you can't Decrep yourself, right? You can't always be Decrept, essentially is the point. So that's not exactly why he's buying Helm of the Iron Will. It's mostly for the Harpy creep, which we'll get into. But yeah, let's take a look at this team fight. So there's a couple things about Pugna to note. You don't need to really be self-preservant as this version of Pugna, which is kind of why it's so great. You'll see he's just gonna, team fight breaks out, throws down the Nether Ward, and then he's kind of gonna really just run into the fight. Now, the Lina is dead, right? So he's kind of actively looking for a fight with his team here because they had just picked off the enemy mid laner. But he runs in, drops the Nether Ward, which by the way is a way too high of a range. And then look at this Enchantress, okay? So he nukes, he decreps, then she casts her Nature's Attendants, which are, what, 134 mana. And you might be like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. It is, because when you're decrept, it gets amped. A lot of people don't know this. Nether Ward damage also gets amped, and it is insane. When people cast spells when they're decrept and affected by Nether Ward, it actually just evaporates their HP pool. It is the most damage you can do as Pugna by far to heroes with, you know, expensive mana spells. And even though, you know, Nature's Attendance isn't that bad, it's not. But look at that. She just explodes, dude. She explodes. And look, he's even going to run at this Terrorblade. Why? Because he's like, I know you can't kill me. I have 1400 HP, a Helm of Iron Will, 14 movement speed. You might be like, Speed, that's a bug. No, it's not. With activated drums and this Winlays, he has 514 movement speed. My man is running at nearly haste. 21 minutes into the game. 455 movement speed without the active. That is insane. You might be like, Speed, why do you need movement speed on a position 5? So you can cast your spells and kite in and out. If you get gone on by, let's say, a Slark, and you have high movement speed, he will get off 30, 20% less auto attacks. Maybe way more than that, actually. He literally might not do any damage to you, compared to, let's say, a CM that has 310 that he can stay on top of. A Pugna with 455 and a stupid amount of HP certainly isn't going to die. Now, a couple cool things as well that he does to even further how awesome this is. He even takes the Fade Grenade, which gives him movement speed, part of the reason why he's so fast right now. But you can even see, like, this is such a cool play. Drops the Fade Grenade, that allows him to get off to the Crep. Then on top of that, Life Drain actually gives vision. It also gives True Sight. That's one thing that's pretty cool about this hero as well. It's a slight counter to Invis heroes, and he takes down the Snapfire as well. And you'll see in terms of skill build, basically you max out the Netherward, so you want to be 204. I honestly think he could have considered an earlier point in the Crep over 1 point in the Netherward this game. The reason why I say that is just a really good Netherward game. He's against, you know, a TB, a Snap who maxed E, a Lina, auto attacks, and auto attacks in the tag team, and, you know, Walrus Punch. It can be purged by Enchantress, but she's not always in position. So, like, I personally would have liked to see 1 point into the Crep a bit earlier on. He decides to go 204. Clearly, his idea is just max out the Netherward and go from there. After the maxing of Netherward, you're actually going to go back for Decrep. He did take his talent at level 10. That's one thing to keep in mind. He took the 200 health talent. And then you want to go back and max out your Decrep, which is kind of why this Pugna hero is really cool right now. It's easily one of the best first pick heroes in Dota right now. And the reason why is, let's say the enemy team is mostly physical damage. Okay, great. Decrep is insanely good, right? Because usually physical damage lineups are weak to magical damage, so you can amp them. And on top of that, you can save your teammates. And then let's say the enemy team is all magical. Okay, whatever. You don't need to really play around Decrep necessarily. You just throw up another ward and your whole team takes 25% less damage from spells. So you kind of cover the damage types of Dota. Like, you're a good laner and your spells are always useful. Like, because they're so, you know, they're so widespread in what they cover. So yeah, I think that's just kind of a cool thing to think about how versatile Pugna is essentially. All right, now to end off the video, well, I guess not end off the video, but what I want to do to end off the video is go over 2 major team fights. Just look at the spell casting and how stupid Pugna really can be. So as this fight breaks out here, the DP runs in. Now, basically what you want to do is this version of Pugna is you don't want to be too afraid of running up. It's very likely if the enemy team goes on you, you won't die from full HP. Now, if you think they can kill you from full HP, then don't frontline, make sure you get off your spells. But he kind of runs in here, right? Goes up a little bit far. After that, he still does do a slight disengage. You don't want to get caught in the middle of 5 heroes and get nothing off. But he goes for a really nice Decrep onto the DP for obvious reasons. Gonna save him from the Terrorblade. And he drops another ward down pretty far. Now, I think it was a little bit too far, but it is 1600 attack range. To keep in mind how far that actually is, Decrepify is 700 cast range, which at max isn't that bad. It's double that plus 200 more cast range. So yeah, this ability kind of just hits everyone on the screen. And we'll see in this clip here, he's going to be able to save his DP with the initial Decrep, pops his drum charges to give his team movement speed, a lot of bonus movement speed, goes for the life drain onto the TB, and he ends up dying. I think he ends up dying just straight up to the life drain in some autos. And yeah, it's just like ridiculous what this hero can do, because once again, like one decent Decrep changes the team fight. If DP just instantly dies there, the Terrorblade will disengage faster, he won't get caught by a couple of stuns, right? The avalanche into the ice path, and he will obviously just be completely fine. And yeah, that's why Pugna can be insane. And that's why, like, one good save from this hero, by the way, you can obviously, he could have healed the DP as well if he didn't feel threatened, can change the team fight. One more thing I do want to note, if you don't end up finding a Harpy Scout, another creep that I think is relatively busted is what AOI takes here, which is the Alpha Wolf. You know, it's one of those creeps that's just really underrated. At 1200 radius, which is massive, right? a 1200 radius of 30% extra damage, right? But for instance here, his Tiny has 410 damage, right? Base damage, and that is what this percentage-based amps, right? The percentage, this 30% is based only on the 410. It doesn't give you 30% of this 111, it's only your base damage. So this pack leader creep, or Alpha Wolf, is particularly good with heroes with high damage stats, right? So Luna is pretty good, Medusa, because she buys a lot of stats, Terrorblade, Morphling is a classic. A lot of these edgy heroes, Tiny is absolutely fantastic as well. You'll see when the Alpha Wolf goes in range, he goes from plus 111 to plus 233. It gives him like 120 damage. 120 damage. That crits. That's crazy, man. Like, this creep is so underrated. All you gotta do is leave it in the back. Do not auto attack with it. Just leave it in the back. It is honestly so underrated, especially if you have a Tiny on your team. So I love this decision. Just allows him to club down this Lina with ease. I think he probably should be a little bit more careful about how he micros it. But either way, just another good decision from AY. He's honestly one of my favorite players to watch because I feel like he maximizes all the small stuff that a lot of players just kind of ignore. All right, and that's going to be about the end of today's video. I will quickly talk about the talents that he chose and the items that he ended up going. He went for the 3 Netherward health, which I think is what you should go basically every game. The other talent is honestly not bad, the Nether Blast cooldown, but Netherward is just kind of a busted spell, so keeping it alive is too good. Level 20, I do think this one kind of depends on the game. If you're not doing well, like you don't have that much net worth, you actually can go Life Tree and heal, and you can heal people. It's quite good. But in a game like this where the enemy team is mostly physical damage, I think the decrep duration is incredible, especially if you end up getting to an Aether Lens timing. You can really use the spell offensively as well, conveniently. So yeah, I like the decrepify duration in this game. And in terms of the items, he went for Aether Lens as his 3rd item before the Boots of Bearing, right? So he went for the Aether, which makes sense to me. It's honestly just good on Pugna. If you're having a good game, it kind of just enables you to use Life Drain and Decrepify and even Nether Blast in a way to play offensively. Pre-Aether Lens, you're not really going for aggressive Life Drains unless someone on the enemy team wildly overextends, in which case, of course, you can cast your spells on them. But you're not actively looking to Life Drain people at the start of a team fight. That's not going to work. Where with Aether Lens Pugna, you kind of are. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Then he goes for the Boots of Bearing. I think in this game, it's like good. You know, it's kind of just like a solid item. I don't think he would necessarily buy it every game. I think he largely rebought it this game just for the active, the replenish of the active, because you can't just buy an extra jumps recipe now. But all right, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned a lot about Pugna as a position 5. I definitely think that this hero is pretty freaking busted. All you gotta do is click E on the ground at the right time, and you're gonna win the game. But nonetheless, I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.